The movie opens with a broke woman named Jania Wilkinson and her daughter, Aria, sleeping in bed. Suddenly, the alarm goes off, jolting Jania awake. She lives a depressed, dreary, and underprivileged life, struggling each day to make ends meet. After waking Aria, she helps her get ready for school. Aria proudly shows her mother a prototype of a bomb she made for her science fair project. Jania gently takes it from her and sets it aside. Aria then tells her that one of her teachers made fun of her for not paying $40 for lunch. Jania asks if the teacher said it in front of the whole class. Aria replies yes. On her way to drop Aria off at school, the generous Jania gives some money to a paralyzed man named Benny, despite her own difficult financial situation. The landlady is angered by Jania's generosity, as she still has not paid her rent. Jania promises that she will pay the rent as soon as she gets her salary today. Afterward, she leaves. Jania drops her daughter off at school and tells her that she will return to give her the $40 for lunch as soon as she gets paid today. Jania then arrives at her workplace, where there is a rush. Richard, Jania's boss, flips out on her for arriving late at work. However, she brushes it aside and goes to do her duty. One of the customers misbehaves with Jania over the payment methods at the counter. Later, one of the colleagues meets Jania and tries to help her financially, but the self-respecting Jania refuses to take the money, saying that she will be getting paid today. Shortly after, Jania receives a phone call from Aria's school, urgently asking her to pay Aria's fees immediately. At that moment, Richard arrives and finds Jania talking on the phone during work hours. Furious, he confronts her. Jania pleads with him to let her go to her daughter's school, explaining that something serious is happening there. Understanding her situation, Richard reluctantly allows her to leave but warns that she must return within 30 minutes or she will be fired. Jania hurries out of the supermarket and looks at a bank across the street. She enters, only to find a long queue inside. She directly approaches the bank manager, Nicole, and tells her that she has been trying to withdraw $40 from her account, but the machine keeps saying insufficient funds. Nicole explains to Jania that her account does not have enough balance, so she leaves for her daughter's school. She impatiently enters the school and accidentally runs into a teacher. Diane Hutchinson from Children and Family Services approaches and separates Aria from Jania, telling her that she is not capable of properly looking after or feeding her daughter. Jania informs Diane that Aria suffers from seizures and is on medication. However, Diane explains that the principal told her Aria comes to school very hungry every day. Jania desperately tries to convince them otherwise, but her efforts are in vain when Diane pulls Aria away and takes her under her custody, assuring Jania that Aria will be safe. Jania is shattered but helpless. She gets back into her car and drives toward the supermarket while it is pouring outside. Suddenly, a car swerves into her way, nearly running her off the road. The enraged driver begins following her to teach her a lesson. Meanwhile, a lady police officer arrives, and Jania immediately informs her about the incident. Just then, the furious man shows up and demands that the officer check Jania's license and registration. Shockingly, the man turns out to be a cop, Officer Oliver. He threatens Jania, warning her never to cross his path again, or he will blow her head off. After issuing his threat, he leaves. The lady officer, instead of helping, writes Jania a ticket and impounds her car. Depressed and stranded, Jania finally reaches the supermarket on foot, where Richard is furious at her for returning after nearly 2 hours. He summons her to his office and vents his frustration, accusing her of lying since one of the workers informed him about her being at the nearby bank. Jania explains that she only went to withdraw money because her daughter needed lunch. Richard doesn't believe her and fires her on the spot. Jania then requests him to give her a check, but the oppressive Richard tells her she will receive it in the mail. Desperate, she insists that she cannot wait because she has to pay her rent and ensure Aria gets lunch at school. Richard coldly replies that it is not his concern. Jania arrives home, only to find all her belongings dumped outside her house, as the landlady has evicted her for failing to pay the rent on time, making her homeless. Heartbroken, Jania breaks down in tears. With no other option left, she goes back to Richard's office demanding her check. Richard loses it on seeing her again. Meanwhile, a goon breaks into the office, pulling his gun at Richard and Jania. He orders Richard to hand him all the money placed on the table and commands Jania to put it into his bag, but Jania, who is also in dire need of money, refuses to hand him the money, saying her daughter needs this. Soon a fight breaks out between Jania and the goon. Jania snatches the gun and shoots the robber straight away. Richard accuses Jania of this, saying that she has set up this robbery. So he begins informing the police about the incident, forcing Jania to shoot him as well. She then picks up the bag full of money, collects her check from the table, and reaches the bank. Detective K. Raymond, Detective Grimes, and a security guard arrive at the crime spot to investigate. They check the security cameras and ask the guard if he knows who the woman is. The guard reveals that she is Jania Wilkinson, an employee at the supermarket. Detective K and Detective Grimes interrogate the staff. One of the workers named Michelle informs the detectives that she heard the gunshots, but Jania is a good person and she can't set up this robbery. Jania has a daughter to look after. Michelle urges the detectives to help her get out of this mess. Back at the bank, in the absence of Jania's ID, a bank employee named Tessa refuses to cash her check. Desperate, Jania frightens her by showing the gun. Tessa secretly triggers a silent alarm, alerting the bank manager, Nicole, who immediately informs the police about the ongoing robbery in the bank. Detective K and Detective Grimes arrive at Jania's house only to find her belongings dumped near the road. Benny, a neighbor, informs them that Jania has a sick daughter whom she regularly takes to the hospital. Despite her own financial crisis, she often gives him spare change, revealing how kind-hearted Jania is. However, the landlady rudely explains to the detectives that she has kicked out Jania from her house for failing to pay her rent. Realizing that Jania isn't a criminal at heart, but a woman forced into desperation, Detective K feels sorry for her. Just then, they are informed over the wireless about Jania currently robbing the bank. So they rush into the car and drive off to the bank. Inside the bank, the terrified staff piles stacks of cash onto the counter. But Jania, true to her honesty, tells them to stop. She doesn't want all that money. Jania calls Nicole over, annoyed that Nicole's employee is giving her all the money when all she wants is to cash her check. Nicole calmly resolves the misunderstanding by ordering Tessa to cash Jania's check at once. Outside, police arrive and surround the bank from all sides. Officer Oliver, who had once threatened to blow off Jania's head if she ever crossed his path after an accident, is also among them. Shortly after, Chief Wilson arrives to take charge of the situation and receives a briefing from Kay and Grimes. Inside the bank, one of the customers impulsively lunges toward Jania to take her down, but she panics and fires a shot. Frightened, the man runs out of the bank along with the security guard.
This motherfucker wasn't doing shit.
Where there is a robbery in progress.
Two gentlemen came running out of the door and were immediately
murder that happened at the super.
News of the robbery spreads like wildfire when it is broadcast on television, leaving poor Jania in utter shock upon realizing how serious things have become. Detective K pleads with Chief Wilson to let her speak with Jania, believing that Jania has been set up. Wilson agrees but warns that she will be held responsible if anything goes wrong. Confused, Jania asks Nicole why the police are outside. When Kay contacts her, Jania explains that she never intended to rob the bank. She only came to cash her check. Kay soothes her and asks her to come outside, but Jania refuses, explaining that she needs $40 to pay for her daughter's lunch at school, so she won't be teased by her teachers anymore. She says, "You will lock me up, and then what will happen to my Aria?" Nicole quietly hands Jania $40, calming her for a moment. Just then, Jania sees Officer Oliver on the television in police uniform and becomes agitated. Officer Wilson and others see Jania holding a gun and a bag inside the bank, suspecting it might contain a bomb. Meanwhile, another employee, Raya, secretly starts recording everything on her phone. Suddenly, Aria's toy bomb begins beeping, sending everyone into panic. Jania opens the bag, turns the toy off, and reassures the terrified people.
Okay,
She brings chairs for all the customers and orders them to sit down, confusing the police who are watching her through the security cameras. Later, Detective K calls Jania again. Jania repeats that she only wanted to cash her check and nothing else, unaware that the entire town is watching her live on television. She says she's afraid to come out because she thinks the police will shoot her. Kay promises that no one will harm her. Then Jania reveals that one of the policemen outside had earlier threatened to shoot her, the same officer who ran her off the road, and now he is among the police surrounding the bank. Jania further tells Kay that another lady officer who was also outside gave her a ticket and impounded her car. I told her that she needed her car because when my daughter gets sick, I have to take her to the hospital. Hearing this, Detective Kay promises her that no one will hurt her, pleading with her to come out of the bank. Despite the persuasion, Yanaya refuses to come out for fear of getting shot dead by Officer Oliver and tells Kay that she needed money to get her daughter's medicine as she is sick. She explains to Kay that she has been dumped out of the house by the landlady for not paying the rent, and now she has nowhere to live. The entire city hears her painful life story, feeling bad for her. Kay also becomes too emotional. Nicole tries to convince her to surrender, but Jania says, "Who will look after my daughter if I am behind bars?" So she refuses to surrender. Meanwhile, a team of FBI agents arrive outside to take over the matter. Jania hears commotion coming from outside, so she asks Nicole to go and check it. Nicole approaches the blinds only to find a crowd of emotional people chanting, "Free Jania."
I'm here for you, Janiyah.
Go live, Janai. We want to see you go live on your phone.
And emotional about this situation. I've never seen anything like this.
Bryce, an FBI agent, takes over the case and blames Chief Wilson for being inefficient to solve the case. Inside the bank, Jania urges Nicole to keep and look after her daughter if anything happens to her tonight, as she has no one else to call her own. Nicole reluctantly agrees. An elderly woman named Isabella feels uneasiness in the bank, so Jania decides to let her out of the bank.
Make sure she gets the...
She needs a doctor. Take your hands off me.
Agent Bryce speaks to Jania, ordering her to surrender, but the terrified Jania says that she will not come out until the officer who threatened to kill her is gone. Meanwhile, the toy-like bomb starts blaring, terrifying everyone inside. Frustrated, Jania grabs the bag, opens it, and turns off the science project of her daughter, Arya, while Nicole, Tessa, and Raya plead with her not to detonate the bomb. Jania reveals to them that it is Arya's science fair project which she had to present at school. Now she realizes that the police have been thinking it to be a bomb all the time. Then she asks Nicole to inform the police that it's not a bomb. Tessa goes to the bathroom and sends a message to the police that the bomb isn't real. Nicole warns Jania that the police have policies regarding explosives, and that may be the only thing that is keeping them from bursting into the bank, because I don't want you to get hurt. Outside, the same lady police officer approaches Detective Kay, confessing her blundering mistake. She reveals that it was Officer Oliver who ran Jania off the road. Fuming with anger, Kay goes and punches Oliver in the face before everyone for causing this whole mess. Detective Kay speaks to Jania once more, telling her that she has identified the officer who hit her car on the road and that she can now safely come out of the bank and surrender. However, Jania doesn't believe it and asks Kay to present a proof. Kay agrees. She then bangs on the door. Nicole answers the door and takes Kay's phone, on which there is a photo of Oliver. Nicole shows it to Jania, who immediately identifies him. Nicole hands back the phone to Kay, telling her that Jania has identified him. As per the promise, Jania lets Tessa and Raya leave. Jania asks Nicole to leave, but Nicole refuses, saying, "We will do this together." Jania asks Nicole if she will visit her when she will be locked up. The good-hearted Nicole promises her to visit her. Meanwhile, Jania's mother calls her, informing her that the FBI agents are at her house and tell her that Jania is robbing a bank. Jania becomes agitated and tells her mother that she just wanted to cash her check so that she could give money to Arya for school. Jania's mother stops her and reminds her that Arya died last night because of having a seizure when they were taking her to the hospital. Now the story shifts back to one day earlier when Jania lost her only daughter, and since then, she has not been able to recover from the reality and has been stuck in her daughter's memories ever since. Now, Jania realizes it and wakes up to reality. Meanwhile, the police break into the building after learning that there is no real bomb inside. They repeatedly shoot Jania, killing her. However, shortly afterward, the story returns to the present and we see Jania completely lost. Nicole leads her to the exit, convincing her to surrender. Detective K handcuffs her, arresting her.
It's nice to meet you.